Good morning. It is 9:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. How are you? Hope you had a great weekend. We did. The rain was welcome. We had a lot of things canceled. And
so doesn't that just like make you stay home all together as a family?
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best. Everybody's taking naps and kicking feet up and chilling and not going anywhere. I love it. I love it. We're going to have a busy week. Pope Watch is underway. And people are very upset that Donald Trump had the audacity to post this joke on Truth Social. If you're watching on the stream, you'll see the picture that we've posted up there. It is Donald Trump in full Pope gear. Pope Trump, who says no? Who says no? They're saying that we're gonna have the secretive voting begin on Wednesday. And then Pope Watch is going to be in full effect, man. It's Pope-a-palooza. People are going crazy. They want to know who the Pope is. It's not going to be Trump, unfortunately. People are very upset about him for posting this on Truth Social. People are very upset that I almost said Pope Trump. President Trump had the audacity to post an image of him dressed as the Pope. We got to get rid of this guy. Impeach him. That's the only reasonable thing to do from here is to impeach Donald Trump. He's going to have a busy day at the White House today. Trump is going to be making a sports-themed announcement today at 1 o'clock, 12 Central at the White House. Did you know this? It's going to be a sports announcement. And the rumor is, have you heard about the sports announcement coming?
I have not.
Mm-mm.
The rumor is that Trump plans to announce that Washington, D.C. will host the NFL draft in 2027.
Ooh, interesting.
And that the aim is to hold it on the National Mall.
Ooh.
Sounds like a mess.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds like a lot of trampoline's going to be happening.
Oh, for sure.
It's like, I just feel for the groundskeeper in that situation.
To be honest, I mean, a lot of big events happen on the National Mall. A lot of big events.
But do you think this one is worth it? The NFL draft? I don't. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I think it's stupid.
What I don't know why. Like, what would be the point of having it there?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels like just an
feels like
attempt to pull a bunch of stuff towards Washington.
Yeah, it feels like more something you do in a hotel conference center.
Yeah.
Than the National Mall, personally. Yeah. So he's gonna make that announcement today. That's the rumor. He's also going to be signing some executive orders around 2 o'clock Central. And there's word that he's going to be welcoming home a returned citizen at 2:30 Central at the White House. So we'll be having our eyes on D.C. today. We'll bring you the latest on that. Over the weekend, sovereignty beat journalism in the Kentucky Derby, or as my family likes to call it, Amish NASCAR. We watched sovereignty beat journalism once again, and that's 2025 in a nutshell, isn't it? Speaking of nutshells, Mike Tirico almost died because of the peanuts. That's a shame. He's okay.
As long as he's okay.
He's okay.
It's okay.
I didn't plan for the nutshell joke either. It just kind of happened naturally. Mike Tirico's going to be okay. He didn't die. Donald Trump wants Alcatraz reopened. And if you're watching on Super Talk TV, over on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, you'll see an artist rendering of what is now being deemed MAGAtraz. MAGAtraz. He posted this on True Social yesterday. Rebuild and open Alcatraz. This is something I can get behind. Can you get behind this? I feel like I don't even say no more, fam. You had me at rebuild and open Alcatraz. But he had a lot more to say. He said, for too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders, the dregs of society, who will never contribute anything other than misery and suffering. When we were a more serious nation in times past, we did not hesitate to lock up the most dangerous criminals and keep them far away from anyone they could harm. That's the way it's supposed to be. No longer will we tolerate these serial offenders who spread filth, bloodshed, and mayhem on our streets. That is why today I am directing the Bureau of Prisons, together with the Department of Justice, FBI, and Homeland Security, to reopen a substantially enlarged and rebuilt Alcatraz to house America's most ruthless and violent offenders. We will no longer be held hostage to criminals, thugs, and judges that are afraid to do their job and allow us to remove criminals who came into our country illegally. The reopening of Alcatraz will serve as a symbol of law, order, and justice. We will make America great again. And he can do it. Alcatraz is federally owned, so Donald Trump is well within his rights to reopen the prison. I'm here for it. I think reopening Alcatraz is a great idea, especially as a symbol of what could be. It was a symbol. People would be nervous to be sent to Alcatraz. Then they shut it down and they turned it into a museum. Donald Trump says, no. Like, we need it again. And he actually got caught outside of Air Force One on his way back. Where was he coming back from? He's coming back from something. Anyway, he's outside Air Force One. This is late last night. And he had some comments about reopening Alcatraz.
Where did you get the idea for reopening Alcatraz?
Just an idea I've had, and I guess because the judges, so many of these radicalized judges, they want to have trials for every single, think of it, every single person that's in our country illegally, they came in illegally, that would mean millions of trials, and it's just so ridiculous what's happening. And it's long been a symbol, Alcatraz, of whatever it is. I mean, it's a sad symbol, but it's a symbol of law and order. And, it's got quite a history, frankly. So I think we're going to do that, and we're looking at it right now.
They think they're going to do it. They're looking at it right now. Alcatraz to be reopened. I love the idea. I really do. I think it's awesome. I'm here for it. He was asked about a lot of other things during this time, in between being on Air Force One and then being on essentially the White House front lawn. He was answering a lot of questions from reporters. One of the questions they asked was about Mike Waltz and how he was fired. Donald Trump says that's fake news. He wasn't fired. He's just been named the UN ambassador, and Donald Trump says, this is not a bad thing. It's actually kind of a promotion.
He was fine, and where he is, he'll do a good job. I don't consider that. I didn't lose confidence in him. Why did I lose confidence? He's going to the United Nations. To me, I think it's personally, if I had a choice for myself of doing, I'd rather have that job than the other.
He resigned on his.
He didn't resign. I just moved him. There's no resignation. You people are so bad. You're trying to make a big deal out of something that's not. You are so bad. That's why nobody watches you anymore. Who are you with? Who are you with? You with who? First. I didn't know there was such a.
He's just ruthless. I don't really believe Donald Trump here, though. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Mike Waltz was fired. Like, something happened here, right? There's more to this than meets the eye. The Trump administration is not letting a lot on. That's understandable. They're going to play it close to the vest. I get that. I respect that. That's fine. There's much more to this story than, he didn't resign. We just moved him over there, and it's just a happy little coincidence that all of this happened right around the same time that all of this other stuff was happening. Don't worry about it. Don't look away. I don't necessarily believe that. Do you necessarily believe that? It was just a promotion. It was just everything's fine. This job is actually much better. We'll let Rubio handle another gig. Don't worry about it. Stop asking questions. I don't believe it for a second. The rumors are that they didn't like Waltz there at the National Security Advisor position, that he wasn't running a tight ship. You could actually make the argument that he wasn't running the tight ship based on the Signalgate fiasco that we saw happen. I don't believe that it was just a happy little coincidence that all this happened at the same time. I just don't. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'm happy if I'm wrong. That's fine. Donald Trump also on that same plane ride said trade deals could be coming this week. That there's going to be some announcements, and that Donald Trump is the one setting the deal, not other countries in these situations. It's Trump doing it. This was aboard Air Force One late last night on trade deals that could be coming this week.
It could very well be. Nobody understands. We're negotiating with many countries. But at the end of this, I'll set my own deals because I set the deal. They don't set the deal. I set the deal. They've been ripping us off for years. I set the deal. Every country, almost without fail, friend and foe, has been ripping us off for years. So we're meeting with almost all of them, including China. And at the end, I'm setting the deal. They keep saying, when are you going to, this is not like a big deal that's going to be signed. In some cases, we'll sign. We don't have to have signed. I'm going to be setting the deal. I'll be setting a tariff. You keep asking the same question. When will you agree? It's up to me. It's not up to them. It's up to me. Now, they don't have to deal with us, which is okay, because we lost, under Biden, we're losing $5 billion a day. Think of it. $5 billion a day. Now we're not dealing with China at all because the tariffs are so high that they basically can't deal. And because of that, we're saving billions of dollars.
Donald Trump saying, guys, the ball's in my court. Like, make no mistake about it. I'm the guy in charge here. I'm going to set the deal. You may hear some announcements this week, but if you don't, that's okay, too, because I'm the one setting the deal. This is Donald Trump last night on Air Force One.
And I'm not saying this to be a wise guy with you, to be mean. I don't want to be mean to you. You're a good professional. But you do keep asking me that same question. It's not like we're going to sit down in an ivory room and we're going to he's going to say, there'll be some of that, very little. I don't see a lot of it. At some point in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'm going to be setting the deal. I'm going to say that such and such a country has had a tremendous trade surplus their way with us. They've taken advantage of us in various ways. And we fully understand what they were doing. We were being led by people that were not very smart. They were able to be taken advantage of. But I can't be taken advantage of. So at a certain point, I'll be just setting a certain tariff number.
Don't you feel like he's essentially doing, what was the movie with Tom Hanks where the Somalian guy, he went, look at me. I'm the captain now. That's what I feel like Donald Trump is doing here with the press on Air Force One. Don't forget who's in charge. I'm the boss now, and things are going to be done my way. It's just nice to have a leader back in the White House who is throwing around that weight. Biden, when he would answer questions on Air Force One, he would essentially be looking out the corner of his eye at Antony Blinken to make sure he's saying the right thing the right way. And then if he didn't, well, his team would clean it up as they were getting off the plane, right? Like that's not the case anymore. Donald Trump says, we're going to set the deal when I want to set the deal. And then during the same exchange on the airplane on Air Force One, he absolutely is just a ruthless man when it comes to the Wall Street Journal. They had a question for him, and he said, wait, who are you with?
Who are you with? That's what boy, you people treat us so badly. Wall Street Journal has truly gone to hell. Go ahead. It's a rotten newspaper. You hear what I said? It's a rotten newspaper.
He said the Wall Street Journal's really gone to hell. Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said? It's a rotten newspaper.
I wouldn't tell the Wall Street Journal because it'd be wasting my time. There are talks, but I don't want to talk to the Wall Street Journal. But look, Wall Street Journal is China-oriented, and they're really bad for this country. Go ahead.
Wall Street Journal is China-oriented and really bad for this country. He did end up answering the question. He says he wants a fair deal with China. But the Wall Street Journal, he's not going to give the answer to them because they're a really bad newspaper, really terrible for this country, and really gone to hell.
Well, I want a fair deal with China, but China's been ripping us off for many years, so maybe something should be thought about, a little bit of retribution. China's been ripping us off for many years, ever since they started. To me, I think it was the worst thing that Richard Nixon ever did. And it was Nixon, he's the one that got it started. And they've taken advantage of.
China's been taking advantage of us for years. That is not going to happen under Donald Trump anymore. Now, this week is going to be where we're going to see what happens. I mean, China's in a tough spot right now. We talked about it all last week. They're losing. They could be losing up to 16 million factory jobs. They already have citizens protesting the unemployment that's going on over there. They're in a bad way. The ports are drying up. Everything's starting to slow down. The longer this goes on, the worse position China is in. And as you can hear from DJT there on Air Force One, he's the captain now. He's in charge. He's going to set the deals. And I have faith and confidence in this guy to make it happen. He did bring up something that happened over the weekend as well. He announced a massive tariff on foreign films. I want to talk about that when we get back. Plus, I think I know exactly why he's going after foreign films. I'll break it down for you when we get back. It's 9:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We've got more on the ICE sweep over the weekend in Nashville, and also after a man's body was found dead inside a car that had been towed away. Police are saying now whether the towing company will be held responsible. That's coming up here at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom, 27 minutes past the hour. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. POTUS says tariffs incoming for foreign films.
Tariffs, what they've done is other nations have been stealing the movies, the movie-making capabilities from the United States. And I said to a couple of people, what do you think? I've done some very strong research over the last week, and we're making very few movies now. Hollywood is being destroyed. Now, you have an incompetent, grossly incompetent governor that allowed that to happen, so I'm not just blaming other nations, but other nations, a lot of them, have stolen our movie industry. And I'm saying, if they're not willing to make a movie inside the United States, then we should have a tariff on movies that come in.
A 100% tariff on foreign films. That's what Donald Trump is proposing. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Now he says, you know, he makes it about money. He does, which I get. But I think it's actually about a movie that just won 4 Golden Globes. Do you remember? We talked about this a little bit. Emilia Perez. Do you remember that movie? I think Donald Trump got wind of this movie winning 4 Golden Globes and thought to himself, never again.
From penis to vagina, is it for you?
For me?
What would you like to know about it, madam?
I want to know it all. What is the protocol, the techniques and the risks? How many operations?
Yeah, that was the musical about transgender surgeries for a cartel member that was made outside of this country. You don't remember that?
I didn't know that that's what it was about.
It won 4 Golden Globes, Joan.
Of course it did.
How much time do you need?
Mammoplasty,
Yes.
vaginoplasty,
Yes.
rhinoplasty,
Yes.
laryngoplasty,
Yes.
mammoplasty,
Yes.
vaginoplasty,
Yes.
rhinoplasty.
I think Donald Trump saw that movie, like just a clip of it,
Oh, my.
and said, I'm going to tariff them. I'm going to tariff them so that way this never happens again.
Can they tariff bad music makers too?
I feel like that movie deserves a 200% tariff. We should do foreign musicals get 1,000% tariff. Moving forward. That's what I support. It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 9:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. There is a couple of problems to tell you about this morning. In Spring Hill, 65, the northbound off-ramp to eastbound I-40. The off-ramp has been blocked off by some road work this morning. There's a crash in Arrington on I-840, both east and westbound, west of Horton Highway, exit 42. The left lane is blocked off by a crash. And then on I-840 eastbound at I-65, you've got road work there, and the right lane is blocked. It's not clear just how many people were swept up in an ICE enforcement operation over the weekend, but Tennessee Highway Patrol does confirm it was involved in helping ICE. Together, they conducted hundreds of traffic stops in areas where there is known gang activity and a history of serious traffic crashes. This woman tells Channel 4 she witnessed one of those stops.
In one of the instances, I did see someone get detained, put into one of the unmarked vehicles and driven off. It was very quick. It was very coordinated, and they seemed to be following each other.
In a statement, THP said troopers made a few arrests for outstanding warrants, illegal guns, and drugs, and some were suspected gang members. New details after a man's body was found inside a locked vehicle that had been towed away weeks ago from a Murfreesboro Walmart. Police are saying the towing company is not suspected of any wrongdoing and that an autopsy has been ordered to determine the man's cause of death. Larry Flowers is the borough's police spokesman, and he talked with Channel 4.
The person that owns the vehicle actually had blackout material covering the windows. So if you looked inside of the vehicle, you didn't see anything. you would assume it was an empty vehicle.
The man's body wasn't discovered until 4 weeks after the car had been towed away. In a new interview with NBC that aired over the weekend, President Trump floated the new idea to bring back one of the country's most notorious prisons.
President Trump is directing the federal government to reopen Alcatraz, the notorious former prison on the San Francisco Bay known as The Rock, considered escape-proof and the subject of multiple Hollywood films. Trump says he wants to reopen and expand the prison to house America's most ruthless and violent offenders.
ABC's Christiane Cordero. That's the latest news. Weather is up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
37 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Ann. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners. You get those at betterwater.com. You can listen to the show in a variety of ways. The iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, the FM dial. You can watch us as well. We are live on Super Talk TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Hit like, hit subscribe. I got a lot of kids. Very hungry. Want to go to camp. Appreciate if you hit like and subscribe. And then you might say, well, why do I want to watch this radio show on TV? Well, because we have video elements for all the audio that you hear on your radio. So you can see the disgusted look on Kristen Welker's face during this Meet the Press interview with Donald J. Trump that happened yesterday. Well, it was aired yesterday. It was recorded before that. One of the things that I just want to get to real quick before we get really into the meat of the interview was something that a lot of people just kind of glossed over. Donald Trump confirmed during that Meet the Press interview that once again he will be donating all of his presidential salary.
No other president, they say, with the possible exception of George Washington, and they have been able to find those records. And we've had wealthy presidents before, but no other president has contributed the salary. And they told me before this that you will probably be asking me whether or not I'm going to contribute my salary again, but you haven't asked that.
Are you going to?
Yes.
You are? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, I appreciate we just made news there.
Yeah, she appreciates it. She doesn't actually like it. I mean, it's news that makes the president look good. And he says, well, you know, hey, we looked back at all the presidents. We couldn't find it with anybody. Maybe George donated his salary, but we don't have the records. Other than that, only Trump has done it. It's going to total $3.2 million over his 2 terms that he's donated back. $3.2 million. Now, it's just, again, Trump, after his first term, was the only president to walk into the office and walk out with less net worth than when he walked in. Donald Trump, once again, donating all of his salary. It just confirms what I've said about this man for a long time to me. He's not doing this for anything other than love of the country. He's not. He doesn't have to do it. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the clout. He could have a much better, easier life if he just stayed home and golfed and hung out with his grandkids. The media would love him again. Celebrities would be his friends again. He would have that cushy life once again. He wouldn't be the orange Nazi that so many leftists claim him to be. He doesn't have to do this. He continues to do it. And I truly believe it's because he wants what's best for this country. Now, when they get into the interview, Kristen Welker says, okay, at what point does this become the Trump economy? Because, you know, we see a lot of looking back towards the Biden economy, and at what point are you going to take full credit for the good and the bad of the current economy?
You've been arguing all week that this is President Biden's economy. Is this now your economy, sir?
Well, I think certain aspects of it are. Costs are. I was able to get down the costs, but even that, it takes a while to get them down, but we got them down good. We lost $5 to $6 billion a day with Biden, $5 to $6 billion, and I've got that down to a great number right now in a record time. You know, we're talking about 100 days, but just think of what that is: $5 billion a day we're losing on trade. And we were very tough with China, as you know. We put 145% tariff on. Nobody's ever heard of such a thing. And we've essentially cut off trade relationships by putting that much of a tariff on. And that's okay. We've gone cold turkey. That means that we're not losing. You know, we lost $1 trillion to China. $1 trillion. That means we're not losing $1 trillion when we go cold turkey, because we're not doing business with them right now. And they want to make a deal. They want to make a deal very badly. We'll see how that all turns out, but it's got to be a fair deal.
When does it become the Trump economy?
It partially is right now, and I really mean this. I think the good parts are the Trump economy, and the bad parts are the Biden economy, because he's done a terrible job. He did a terrible job on everything.
I mean, listen, he's right. We're still cleaning up a massive mess left behind by the Biden administration. And at a certain point, this will all be looked at as the Trump economy. I don't think that it's enough time has passed yet to say that this is the Trump economy completely so far. It's not. A lot of things are the Trump economy so far. You can look at the private investment into this country. That's Trump. I mean, Biden couldn't get private investment to total that in 4 years, what Trump has done in 100 days. You can look at the reshoring of American manufacturing and the jobs that come with it. That's Trump, without a doubt. You can look at the energy prices, the oil. That's Trump, without a doubt. But there's still a lot of mess to be cleaned up from Biden. But a lot of good things are happening in this economy currently because of Trump. And, Kristen Welker says to Trump during this interview, well, prices are going up. And Trump says, excuse me, prices are going up? What on earth are you talking about?
Well, prices are already going up on some popular items.
Whoa.
Tires, strollers.
This is such a dishonest interview already.
Whoa. Slow down. I can't believe how dishonest you're being already. We're barely into this interview. So dishonest.
Prices are down on groceries. Prices are down for oil. Prices are down for all energy. Prices are down at tremendous numbers for gasoline. And let me tell you, when you have the big thing, what he did, he spent like a stupid person, which he was, but he spent like a very stupid person. And that was bad for inflation. But what really killed us with inflation was the price of energy. It went up to $3.90, even $4, and in California, $5 and $6, right?
Oh my gosh! I almost moved to Phoenix, Arizona, a couple of years ago. As a lot of you know, Turning Point wanted me to move out there to be the media director and all the fun stuff, and I was definitely interested in moving out to Phoenix. Long story why we didn't end up going, but the energy prices blew my mind. Honestly, we have no idea how good we have it here in Tennessee as we kind of get stuck in our own little echo chamber. Maybe if you travel outside the state, you see it. And I know I see it. Like, we're going to go to the Outer Banks in North Carolina in a couple weeks. And I know as soon as we cross that state line into Virginia, we're going to see the gas price go up, 20, 30 cents. But when you go over to the west side of the country, it's insane. It was like when we went to Phoenix, the gas prices around here were like $3 and change-ish. In Phoenix, it was like $5, $6 for a gallon of unleaded regular gas. Insanity. And you can absolutely point the finger at the Biden administration for the gas prices and the energy prices during that time.
Okay. I have it down to $1.98 in many states right now. When you go that much lower on energy, which is ahead of my prediction, because I really thought I could get it down into the 250s. We have it down at $1.98 in numerous places. But when you say costs are going up, even mortgage rates are going down.
Well, but let me give you some examples.
Before she gives any examples, you understand that the energy costs are going to ripple through the economy faster than anything else, right? Like if it costs less to transport your items from the factory to the store, those savings are going to be passed along to you. You get that, right? Yes, of course you understand that.
These are actual examples. So you're saying the prices that are going down, some prices are going up. Tires, strollers, some clothing in the wake of your tariffs.
Excuse me, that's peanuts compared to energy. Energy is 60% of the cost.
But sir, you campaigned on a promise to bring prices down on day.
Well, I don't know. When you say strollers are going up, what kind of a thing? I'm saying that gasoline is going down. Gasoline is thousands of times more important than a stroller someplace.
But what do you say to Americans who say they voted for you because they want and they need relief right now?
And they're getting it.
Right now? What about those
even mortgage rates?
Different items I just
Mortgage rates are going down despite the fact that we have a stubborn Fed.
But you said even dolls could cost a couple bucks more.
Maybe they might. But you don't need to have, as I said, $35. You can have 2, 3, 4 and save a lot of money. We don't need to feed the beast.
I'm with him on not feeding the beast. And I don't know if you noticed, did you catch that jab in there to Jerome Powell over at the Fed? If we didn't have a lazy Fed, interest rates would be down a lot lower and you'd feel this a lot quicker. Trump is making the right choices on the large scale, right? Like he's doing the big things, right? Are we going to pay a couple dollars more for a stroller or a baby doll potentially in the short term? Yeah. But in the long term, bringing these energy prices down, that's the right move. And Kristen Welker, so dishonest already. I mean, she's not going to focus on the big wins. She's going to focus on the small losses. And she's going to highlight those, and she's going to make those seem much larger than they should be. Do you know how you get around paying more for a stroller? You shop, you wait for a sale, you'd find a way if you're strapped, if you're in those tight times. There's a lot of ways around it. How do you get around gas to get to work? You can't. You can't. And Donald Trump is making those things a lot cheaper very, very quickly. But Kristen Welker wants him to take responsibility for the economy. And she wants him to take responsibility for prices going up. And she says, when are you going to take responsibility? And Trump says, I'll take responsibility.
Sir, you acknowledge when you announced your tariffs, for example, the stock market dropped. It's been volatile. It has since gone up.
It is,
Do you
but now
take
it's going up.
responsibility
Look at
for
today.
that? Yeah. Do you take responsibility when it drops?
Ultimately, I take responsibility for everything, but I've only just been here for a little more than 3 months. But the stock market, look at what's happened in the last short period of time. Didn't it have 9 or 10 days in a row or 11 days where it's gone up? And the tariffs have just started kicking in. And we're doing really well psychologically. I mean, the fake news was giving me such press on the tariffs. The tariffs are going to make us rich. We're going to be a very rich country.
Yeah, psychologically, we are fighting the fake news. Let's not kid ourselves on that. And you can even look at the protests when it comes to Trump and the economy or Doge. And you look at these protest audiences and you notice, at least I noticed one thing. The majority of individuals that are out there protesting Trump and the economy currently, and you can do your own research, find any protest video that you can on the internet. You look at these crowds, and like 80%, 85% plus are over 65. And do you know what that tells me? It tells me that they're addicted to their TVs. And when you're addicted to TV, well, you're much more susceptible to the fake news. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of media manipulation on what's actually happening in the economy. And the media is going to tell you everything's awful, everything's awful, everything's awful. Scott Bessent, we played a clip from him last week. He said, ABC, you guys, you put out a long thing. This is the worst day for stock market trading since the Great Depression. And then, 10 days later, we had completely rallied past that. We were up over that point. We were doing great. And there's no big story saying this is the biggest bounce back ever. No, of course not. Of course not. That doesn't help the media to do that. It doesn't help the Democrats, who the media are in their pocket for. But, listen, the tariffs. We all want to know about the tariffs. Kristen Welker said that small businesses are being hurt by the tariffs. What are you going to do about that to President Trump? And Trump responds to her very calmly and says, you're cherry picking your data here. You're saying small businesses are being hurt, but you're not looking at the big picture.
So small businesses say they are being hurt by the Chinese tariffs, and some could be forced to shut down.
And many businesses are being helped.
Are you considering tariff relief for small businesses?
Why do you always mention that, you pick up a couple of little businesses? What about the car business? They're going to make a fortune because of the tariffs. Do you know that the union, the head of the union, who was no fan of mine, Sean Fain, I guess his name is, right? He didn't endorse me. The Teamsters did. A lot of people did.
Sean Fain actually called President Trump a scab. Remember that? Donald Trump is a scab.
The unions did, but he didn't. He couldn't stand me. Now he's saying, wow, what Trump's done for the automobile, I can't believe it. I assume he's going to probably now say, the next thing he can say is, I endorse this guy. He's the greatest I've ever seen. He can't believe it's happened. He said, we've been waiting 40 years for somebody to do what Trump is doing. So why don't you mention the big car industry instead of mentioning somebody that's doing strollers?
Well, I'm just asking you about small businesses. Are there any discussions about giving any relief to small businesses?
They're not going to need it.
Okay.
They're going to make so much money.
Are these tariffs?
If you build your product here.
That's the key point, right? And I love the energy for small businesses from NBC's Meet the Press and Kristen Welker. I love how worried they are for small businesses when I didn't hear any of that during the pandemic when they were shutting all these businesses down. And they were saying, you're non-essential. You're not allowed to open your doors and make any money whatsoever. You didn't hear this fear or this worry for small businesses. No. They only use it when it's convenient and when they can use it to bludgeon Trump. There's a lot more questions in this Meet the Press interview that we got to get to, including what Donald Trump thinks about China and their economy. He's also asked about, a successor to the MAGA movement, and he weighs in on that. We'll bring you all that and more on the way. It's 9:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand from my friends at United Structural Systems, and we got more rain coming through the area. If you have waterproofing issues, you're probably sweating a bit. I mean, you knew you had them, but with these home repairs, especially waterproofing, it's easy to ignore those warning signs. You're like, oh, I got a little water in the basement, maybe some damp walls, but you hope it'll just go away. And then another rainstorm comes through, and you realize these small problems aren't going away. And even worse, the small problems never stay small. The good news, you can call United Structural Systems, and they'll come to your home and give you that peace of mind. They've done it for over 30,000 homeowners across Middle Tennessee and Kentucky. And when they show up, they're not showing up with sales pressure. They're not going to show up worried about their quota. They're showing up worried about your home. And they're going to create a custom solution for you. They won't leave until the job is done and until you're satisfied with the work. And when they do leave, the warranty they leave behind is good for life. Even if you leave the home, they're so confident in their work, the warranty can stay. Whether it's foundation repair or waterproofing, the USS guys are the best. Whether you need to call them or you've needed to call them, do it today. 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855. If you see the warning signs, don't wait. Call USS or visit them online, ussTN.com.
What does Mayor Freddie O'Connell have to say about this weekend's ICE raids? Also, just 2 more days until the real ID becomes a real thing. Got those stories coming up here at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. It's 9:58. I'm not getting a real ID. I'm not.
Really?
I don't care what anybody says.
So you'd rather be stopped?
Yeah. Yep.
Or are you just going full passport?
I'm going full passport.
I think you're stowing away.
I was working for these guys in the Netherlands. They were doing it was a radio jingle company.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
And I was about to go over there. And my wife thought I was losing my mind. This is like right before the pandemic kicked off. And so she's like, you need to get your passport because you're going to have to go to, where are we going? Amsterdam. It was another town near there, but Amsterdam. So she said, you need to get your passport done. I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to use this passport to go to Amsterdam. And she's like, the country's not going to shut down. I was like, everywhere's going to shut down. And she's like, you sound a little insane. I'm like, I know. I know. And it was like a week after I got my passport finalized. It's in the mail and I have it. Everything shuts down.
Yeah.
And so I told the wife, I said, I was right.
Did you feel good about that?
I did. But now I'm going to be able to use the passport finally.
Yay.
Because I'm not getting the real ID. And nobody's going to make me do it until my license is expired. And then I have to replace that one.
You have to just by nature.
At that point, I may bite my tongue. But until then, I'm going to stand strong.
Way to go, Chris.
You're welcome. You're welcome. China, their economy is collapsing. That's what Donald Trump said yesterday during his interview on Meet the Press with Kristen Welker. He said they're not in a good spot. Believe it or not, the economy collapsing.
You're not dropping the tariffs against China to get them to the negotiating table. Those tariffs are staying on.
Why would I do that?
Would you lower them?
At some point, I'm going to lower them because otherwise you could never do business with them.
Yeah.
And they want to do business very much. Look, their economy is really doing badly. Their economy is collapsing.
Their economy is collapsing, says Donald J. Trump. We'll talk about that a little bit more after we get back. Plus, who's the heir to the throne when it comes to MAGA? Donald Trump may have tipped his hand a little bit during this interview with Kristen Welker on Meet the Press. I'll bring you all that and more on the way. It's 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 10 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Nashville's mayor does not stand behind the ICE operation that unfolded in his city over the weekend. Mayor Freddie O'Connell saying such operations make people feel unsafe. His statement came after multiple people were detained during 150 traffic stops over the weekend. This woman's loved one was among them.
I don't have any words what happened yesterday, but I think that this is not fair.
ICE saying that they focused on areas including Antioch, Paragon Mills, and South Nashville, where there's been gang activity and a history of traffic crashes. Meantime, a 17-year-old Nashville teen is dead after reportedly stealing a car, driving it at a high rate of speed, and then running into the back of a moving tractor trailer on I-40 near the airport. Chance Kimbrough was ejected through the window of the car. As it rolled several times, his body landed on the interstate and he was struck by another vehicle. The vehicle had been reported stolen. The vehicle he was driving had been reported stolen a few hours before that crash. Travelers have only 2 days before the Real ID deadline. It happens May 7th. That's Wednesday. If people show up without a Real ID, driver's license, or another acceptable ID, TSA says they should expect delays at airport checkpoints. Here's ABC News transportation reporter Clara McMichael.
As the Real ID deadline approaches, senior TSA official Adam Stahl tells travelers,
get to the airport early, approximately 2 hours. If you do not have a Real ID, we suggest going even possibly earlier.
For those without a Real ID,
you could face delays at the checkpoint, and in extremely rare cases, if we can't confirm or validate your identity, possible denial.
You can use other documents like a military ID or a passport, but
Enroll as soon as you can, especially ahead of a busy travel season.
Clara McMichael, ABC News, New York.
Now, real ID compliant cards in Tennessee are marked with a star in a gold circle at the top right corner. Crews clearing debris along the Nolichucky River in Washington County discovered a body last week. And now that body has been identified as that of Stephen Cloyd. He's one of two people who were still missing from flooding caused by Hurricane Helene. The Dow has turned positive, up 50 points right now, but the Nasdaq still down to 85. S&P is falling 18 points. That's the latest news. Weather's up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Prices are already going up on some popular items. Tires, strollers.
This is such a dishonest interview already.
I mean, that's pretty much the summary of the Donald Trump interview with Meet the Press over the weekend. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. If you like the show, you'll love our sponsors. If you need a water filtration system, you go to betterwater.com. So Trump is on Meet the Press over the weekend. And now, all of a sudden, the media cares about small businesses. Now, all of a sudden, the media cares about the cost of things. And it's weird to me because the last 4 years, they had no real skin in the game, apparently. When the Biden administration was keeping businesses closed during COVID, they didn't say anything about small businesses. When the inflation was happening like crazy during Biden, they didn't bring up the cost of living for the American people. But now that Trump's in office, well, they got to nail him. They got to do it.
Prices are down on groceries. Prices are down for oil. Prices are down for all energy. Prices are down at tremendous numbers for gasoline. And let me tell you, when you have the big thing, what he did, he spent like a stupid person, which he was, but he spent like a very stupid person. And that was bad for inflation. But what really killed us with inflation was the price of energy. it went up to $3.90, even $4, and in California, $5 and $6, right?
Yeah, listen, again, I mentioned it earlier when I was almost moving out to Phoenix a couple years ago, gas was like $5.80 for a gallon of regular unleaded. It's like, what? That was the first time I ever thought about buying an electric car, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that's nuts.
It had not crossed my mind until then. And then I wasn't even driving out there. I was just Ubering, and I felt pain for these people.
Yeah, I had a similar thought when I took my trip to visit family last summer in California. $6.
Dude, how do you do that?
Like, what?
No, and then the crazy thing is Kristen Welker in this same interview, she says, but listen, prices are going up and people are having to buy strollers and baby strollers, and the costs are going up because of your tariffs. And I'm like, dude, we don't have to buy a stroller every single week. Like every 2 to 3 days, I'm not buying a new baby stroller. I have a lot of kids. I would need a lot more likes and subscribes if we were doing that. But it's just not the reality. But she says that, well, what about baby strollers?
You're not dropping the tariffs against China to get them to the negotiating table. Those tariffs are staying on.
Why would I do that?
Oh, wrong clip. Sorry about that. This is him talking about the small businesses and the strollers.
So small businesses say they are being hurt by the Chinese tariffs, and some could be forced to shut down.
And many businesses are being helped.
Are you
Look at the
considering
automobile
tariff
business.
relief for small businesses?
Why do you always...
I love it, though. Many small businesses say that they're being hurt by the China tariffs. It's like, many small businesses said that they were being hurt by the China virus. But we weren't allowed to talk about it. The mainstream media was like, stay home, be safe. You're not essential. Don't worry about it. As we watched the greatest redistribution of wealth in human history happen right before our eyes, the media was silent. Small businesses were closing. Family-owned restaurants never opening again. Not a problem for the mainstream media. Not a problem. When Donald Trump wants to make the trade more fair for the American people, now it's an issue.
Always mentioned that, you pick up a couple of little businesses. What about the car business? They're going to make a fortune because of the tariffs. Do you know that the head of the union, who was no fan of mine, Sean Fain, I guess his name is, right? He did.
Yeah, he called President Trump a scab on numerous occasions. Called him a scab. Railed against him. Now celebrates him.
Didn't endorse me. The Teamsters did. A lot of people did. A lot of unions did. But he didn't. He couldn't stand me. Now he's saying, wow, what Trump's done for the automobile, I can't believe it. I assume he's going to probably now say, the next thing he can say is, I endorse this guy. He's the greatest I've ever seen. He can't believe it's happened. He said, we've been waiting 40 years for somebody to do what Trump is doing. So why don't you mention the big car industry instead of mentioning somebody that's doing strollers?
Well, I'm just asking you about small businesses. Are there any discussions?
I just care about small businesses, she says. I just care. My problem is I just care too much. Again, they wouldn't care one tiny, tiny bit if they couldn't use it to bludgeon Trump with, but they're going to. They're going to. But you got to lower the tariffs on China. We got to. It's hurting our small businesses. We have to. Will you lower the tariffs on China?
You're not dropping the tariffs against China to get them to the negotiating table. Those tariffs are staying on.
Why would I do that?
Would you lower them?
At some point, I'm going to lower them because otherwise you could never do business with them.
Yeah.
And they want to do business very much. Look, their economy is really doing badly. Their economy is collapsing.
Yeah, and we've talked about this. There could be 16 million out of work. 16 million out of work. You're already seeing protests. The economy was not in good shape before the trade war with the United States. All we have to do is wait. You understand that, right? Like, all we have to do is be patient. Will it hurt a little bit in the meantime? Maybe, possibly. But we just have to wait. And Kristen Welker, she's very impatient. And she says, well, what about the small businesses? It's funny, though, when you ask the small business administrator, Kelly Loeffler, about small businesses, she says they're actually doing pretty damn good, and it's because of Donald Trump.
Our country was hollowed out by losing tens of thousands of factories, 5 million jobs. We are seeing a renaissance in this country of manufacturing, of onshoring, and strengthening the supply chains that we should have done after we saw the COVID impacts to our supply chains. President Trump is taking action now to do that because for the last 4 years, the Biden administration ignored these problems. They let our trade deficits grow to $1.2 trillion. That was a 20% increase. This was going in the completely wrong direction. Small businesses are back in the driver's seat thanks to President Trump and his belief in the American worker, American industry, and Main Street.
Small businesses are back in the driver's seat. Not if you ask Kristen Welker over at NBC's Meet the Press. She doesn't believe that. She doesn't subscribe to that. She thinks small businesses are being hurt. She didn't give a damn about small businesses during the pandemic. No. But she's very concerned. Very concerned. And we got to drop the tariffs against China. That's what they say. We just have to, guys. And Trump says, no, you don't understand what we're doing in the case of tariffs. You know, a lot of people want to say that this is a tax on the American people. He says it's not a tax on the American people.
I think what is a great misnomer is the word tariff in many cases, it's not, to me, I don't view it as a tax. I view it as an incentive for people to come into the United States and build plants, factories, offices, a lot of things. I think it's an incentive, but the thing that's not known is if you look back and see, oftentimes like China or Vietnam or other countries, not just China, because China's an abuser, but there are other abusers. Many of them are friends, the so-called, I say friend and foe, and friend is oftentimes worse than foe. But what people don't understand is, and this is a lot, the country eats the tariff, the company eats the tariff, and it's not passed along at all.
Well, some CEOs are saying they're going to have to pass it on. So how do you deal with those CEOs?
But the company,
how do you deal with those CEOs?
China is eating the tariffs right now.
What do you say to those CEOs who are saying, we might have to pass this on to the consumer?
Well, they say that because maybe it's to their advantage to say it.
Will
Maybe
you punish them?
No, because you know what? I want them to build plants in the United States. That way they don't have any tariffs. See, tariffs will, and not only will, look at what's happened. In 2 months, we're close to $9 trillion of investment. We've never been anywhere near that.
No, we haven't. And what about these CEOs? Well, you're actually seeing CEOs make a lot of decisions to build here in America. Guardian Bikes, you may not have heard of them before. Guardian Bikes, this bicycle manufacturing operation that they've just decided to start doing it in Indiana. Guardian Bikes, direct-to-consumer kids bike brand, announced plans to build a large-scale bicycle frame manufacturing plant in its advanced manufacturing hub in Seymour, Indiana. You're seeing a lot of CEOs, a lot of executives reroute their plans to get around the tariffs, and that's exactly what you want happening. Is it not? This is exactly what we were looking for. You'd invest in America, you'd hire American, and then we're buying American once again. This is how we make our economy greater. Donald Trump is doing it in real time, record time, 100 days. What about the CEOs? Have you talked to the CEOs? It's like, are you paying attention? Kristen, excuse me. You paying attention? He had a room full of CEOs the other day. Full of CEOs. And they were all talking about how great Trump has been for the business climate here in America and that they're coming in because they have faith in the American economy. They have faith in Donald Trump's plan. They actually posted a video of this on the White House's page earlier this morning, and Trump reposted it on his X account, where they're literally going through that meeting that they just had with all these CEOs and talking about how amazing it is to have this support from these CEOs.
Represented in this room have collectively announced more than $2 trillion in new investments, and we have a total of close to $8 trillion all told. Every new investment, every new factory, and every new job created is a sign of strength in American economy.
Mr. President, thank you for what you're doing, not only to revitalize U.S. manufacturing, but helping ensure that the U.S. aerospace industry continues to lead the world in innovation.
U.S. must continue the leadership of AI.
I want to thank you, sir, for everything that you've done.
We are proud to create millions of jobs here and to make significant investments to catalyze a new era of advanced manufacturing.
We finally have a president who understands that we need to reindustrialize. We need to be made in America, made in the USA.
But sir, Americans might pay more on strollers. Do you understand that? That's Kristen Welker's rationale. Yep. That's Kristen Welker. She also took some time during this interview to say, hey, everybody thinks you're turning into an authoritarian. You're one of those fascists. Do you understand that, right? Like once she gets beat on one topic, she pivots to another talking point. The next talking point was Donald Trump. You are an orange tyrant. Your thoughts?
What do you say to those who believe you are taking the country down an authoritarian path?
Well, there you go again. Why don't you ask it a different way?
I just love his rant. Well, there you go again. Here we go again, Kristen. Here we go again. Ask it a different way. You don't ask anything nicely, do you?
Are taking the country down an authoritarian path.
Well, there you go again. Why don't you ask it a different way? Many people wanted to come into our country. Many people love Trump. I won the election. They didn't win the election. I got a lot more votes than they did. I won the popular vote. I won all 7 swing states by a lot. A lot of people were surprised. I said, I think he could win 4, maybe 5. No, I won all 7, and I won by a lot. And I won, actually, I think there was a lot of hanky-panky going on, but it was too big to rig. That's the good news. It's too big to rig.
I love it. There's a lot of hanky-panky. Everybody understands that. There was hanky-panky, but it was too big to rig. Mr. President, what you're telling me is you're a very popular tyrant, authoritarian, orange fascist. Is that what you're saying? Yes, popular enough to win 7 swing states, actually.
But let me just say, so when you make these statements about people say this, well, they had their chance at the election and they lost big. So you should ask the question differently.
He's just an animal, an absolute savage.
You should say, what about the people that want to be in this country? What about the people that love this country?
But what do you say? I'm asking it on behalf of those people to give you a chance to respond to them. What do you say to those people, sir?
That's a nice pivot, Kristen. Nice. Good job.
People are going to be very happy. They're going to have to see some results. And I think we had a great 100 days. There are a lot of people that say it was unprecedented. It was an absolutely unprecedented 100 days. And I hope that they're going to be right.
Those people are going to need to see some results, and they will. What do you say to those people? Well, we say to those people that lowering gas prices and energy prices are going to help you too, right? Investing here in America, these companies investing in America, they're going to hire your friends and neighbors. That's going to help you. We're going to drag you kicking and screaming into prosperity, just like we did in the first Trump term. And then you're going to get there and you're going to say Donald Trump didn't build this. Yep. You know what they'll do is they'll pivot in about a year or two when everything's hunky-dory and really rocking. They're going to say, this is because of Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. You can almost telegraph it exactly. They're going to say, this is because of the moves Biden made beforehand. This isn't Trump's great economy. This is Biden's great economy. Wait for it. Just wait. That is absolutely coming down the pipe once Donald Trump fixes this economy. Full stop. Don't even worry about it. Just consider it guaranteed. They're going to give Biden credit for the economy when Trump fixes it. Make no mistake about it. But they talked about a lot of things during this interview. They asked Donald Trump, "Are you considering a third term?" He does kind of like the idea. We'll talk about it when we get back. It's 10:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. If you're living with back pain, knee pain, or nerve pain, do you know that you don't have to live with that pain any longer? The Wellness Institute of Nashville can help you get rid of that pain. They've been changing lives with non-surgical, drug-free treatments that will target the root cause of your pain so you can forget the pills, you can skip the surgery, because these guys specialize in non-surgical spinal decompression. This is a high-tech therapy that will actually heal your spine and your nerves naturally. Dr. Mitchell, he's trained all over the globe. Dr. Ashley, expert in holistic healing and advanced chiropractic care. So whether you're dealing with sciatica, neuropathy, or herniated discs, they have real solutions. And right now, For a limited time, the Big 47 offer is happening. That'll get you 47% off the state-of-the-art spinal decompression. If you need x-rays, they can make it happen. You can bring your own MRI for review, and the doctors are going to build a custom plan to get you back to a pain-free life. Don't waste another day living in pain. Call the Wellness Institute of Nashville today, 615-246-5009. That's 615-246-5009. The sooner you call, the sooner you heal, or you can visit painisbad.com.
Closing arguments in the Tyree Nichols case begin today. And the one food item that may be in your kitchen that has just been recalled. That and more coming up here at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 1025, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. If you want to support the show, support the sponsors. Those guys are great. You can listen to the show anywhere, the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, the FM dial. You can watch us as well. We're on Super Talk TV. That's on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, personal favorite. There's a couple of liberals in the YouTube chat causing a bit of a ruckus.
Ooh.
It's getting a little heated in there.
I mean, of course, obviously more than welcome.
Always welcome. I wish you would call in.
Yeah.
615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. What's the username? It's Milk. It's Milk. That's the liberal. He said, Trump just lies all the time. Lie, 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 lie. Snowflake Trump. He's so sensitive. He's just a crybaby. This is what we get. So you can call in. I'd love to hear more. 615-737-9986. Do you think he'll call?
Oh, probably not.
Probably not. He's welcome to. Front of the line if you want to. Front of the line.
Yeah, maybe we can connect it with Matt from Smyrna.
We should.
See if
now he's Matt from Shelbyville.
Yeah.
That's true. Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't sit in my head properly.
Well, we are
Always
celebrating. We are celebrating Cinco de Mayo here.
Oh yeah,
and everybody knows that the best burrito bowls are in the Trump Tower, right? Everybody knows that. But how long will we be able to celebrate Cinco de Mayo with this president? You know, our time is running short. Will we get a third term? Donald Trump was asked about that by Kristen Welker.
The Trump organization is selling hats that say Trump 2028.
Yeah.
Are you seriously considering a third term?
I love how she says the Trump organization is selling hats that say Trump 2028. And you can hear him very lowly in the background go, yeah, yeah, we are.
The Trump organization is selling hats that say Trump 2028.
Yeah.
Are you seriously considering a third term, Ms.
I don't know why that makes me laugh so hard. It does. It makes me chuckle. You're selling hats that say Trump 2020. Yeah, we are. Wait until you see the bumper stickers. This just it tickles me pink. I don't think Donald Trump is running for a third term. And he essentially says as much here.
Considering a third term, Mr. President, even though it's prohibited by the Constitution, or is this about staying politically viable?
I will say this. So many people want me to do it. I have never had requests so strong as that. But it's something that, to the best of my knowledge, you're not allowed to do.
No, you're not. You're not. And I love the guy. I do. I'll be honest. I love the guy. You can't do it. Andy Ogle's introducing all the legislation. It's a waste of time. I think it's stupid. And I think that the troll, like the trolling aspect of all of this, hilarious. Top notch. Big fan of that. A third term in practice, we're being silly. The man is 78 years old. It's going to be 82 by the end of his term. He'll be 86 by the end of a third. Like, come on. Let's get real. And all of the conservative audience understands this. People might want it, but we understand it's not going to happen.
I don't know if that's constitutional that they're not allowing you to do it or anything else, but there are many people selling the 2028 hat. But this is not something I'm looking to do. I'm looking to have 4 great years and turn it over to somebody, ideally a great Republican, to carry it forward. But I think we're going to have 4 years, and I think 4 years is plenty of time to do something really spectacular.
Then we hand it over to somebody really, really great, and he kind of lays out who he thinks would be his successor during this interview. And he does give a bit of a hat tip to J.D. Vance. I wonder who you would think is the best successor for Donald Trump. 615-737-9986. He goes on in the interview and he mentions Marco Rubio. He mentions J.D. Vance. I still think a sleeper pick is Eric Trump. And maybe in that scenario, the Trump 2028 hats make a lot of sense. But I'd love to get your thoughts on it as well. 615-737-9986.
The Constitution does prohibit it. Some of your allies are pretty serious about this, though, Mr. President. I've spoken to them. They say they are coming up with potential ways.
Well,
obviously, the biggest one would be a constitutional amendment.
That's because they like the job I'm doing, and it's a compliment.
They like what I'm doing. It's a compliment. I'll bring you Trump's comments on J.D. Vance on the flip side of the newscast. Plus, we'll get to some of your phone calls. Mike, Steve, hang on the line, guys. I see you've been waiting for a minute. We'll get to your calls next as well. Plus, Trump naming an heir to the MAGA throne. He does seem to lean towards J.D. Vance. I'll bring you the comments when we get back. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
10:30, I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Closing arguments take place today in the state case against the former police officers charged in the death of Tyree Nichols. 10:30, I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Closing arguments take place today in the state case against the former police officers charged in the death of Tyree Nichols. 17 witnesses were called by the lawyers defending the 4 officers, including veteran police trainer Don Cameron.
Mr. Nichols wasn't getting out of the car. When Officer Haley reached in to escort him from the car, he pulled away from him. Then at that point, you go hands-on.
The officers did not testify in their own defense. If you've recently purchased vine-ripe tomatoes that were marked as packed by Ray and Mascari Inc., throw them out. They're being recalled in Tennessee, Kentucky, and a dozen other states for possible salmonella poisoning. A new town was born over the weekend. ABC's Jim Ryan is in Texas, where voters in a local election along the Gulf Coast handed SpaceX founder Elon Musk a victory.
Starbase, the facility where SpaceX builds and launches its rockets and where many of its employees live, sits on a 2-lane road that provides the only access to a popular beach a few miles away. Going forward, Starbase will be a its own town with its own mayor, ordinances, and taxing entity. But sun worshippers worry about their access to the beach.
No surprise here, but the CEOs of NPR and PBS say they'll challenge President Trump's executive order to end public funding to the organizations. The executives appeared on Face the Nation this weekend saying they're looking at their options. OPEC has agreed to surge oil production by 411,000 barrels per day in June. That has pushed oil prices lower. That's the latest news. Weather is up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
36 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to us by our friends at Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners. You get that at betterwater.com. Love those guys. Support the show, support our sponsors. You can listen to the show on the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, the FM dial. You can watch the show, Super Talk TV. Why would you want to watch a radio show on your TV? We have video elements for all of the audio that you hear on your radio. You can watch us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the share button. All those platforms have those things. So make it happen for us. I got kids to feed. It would really be helpful. It would really be helpful. I could sell Trump 2028 hats. Those are a hot commodity right now. Donald Trump was asked about that by Meet the Press. Are you seriously considering running for a third term? And he's not. He's not. A couple people on the Super Text line said, "Come on, man, Obama had a third term. What's the big deal?" Fair. But when he was asked about a successor during that Meet the Press interview, he kind of tips his hat towards J.D. Vance. He does.
I know.
He doesn't give it away completely, but he says Vance, Rubio, we got some good guys waiting in the wings.
I know that you are only 100 days in, but as we sit here today, who do you see as your successor, Mr. President?
Well, it's far too early to say that, but I do have a vice president, and typically it would be, and JD's doing a fantastic job.
He would be at the top of the list?
It could very well be. I don't want to get involved in that. I think he's a fantastic, brilliant guy. Marco is great. There's a lot of them that are great. I also see tremendous unity, but certainly you would say that somebody's the VP. If that person is outstanding, I guess that person would have an advantage. But I think the other people would all stay in unbelievably high positions. But, it could be that he'd be challenged by somebody. We have a lot of good people in this party.
He's right. He says, I kind of want to stay out of it, be honest with you. He does tip his hat towards JD. And he says, but we got a lot of good people. Rubio's pretty good. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, I was not as high on Rubio as, I wasn't high on Rubio at all coming into this administration. I didn't really like it. I felt like he was too neocon-y, too old guard. And I've been completely proven wrong. And I've been really impressed with Rubio at the State Department. And I think he's been doing a fantastic job. I still think it's JD's nomination to lose in 2028, personally. And I don't know a guy that could really have a story that resonates with the American people better than J.D. Vance. I mean, he is the new American story. He's got a parent that dealt with addiction. He lived in the Rust Belt, served and fought in endless wars that shouldn't have been started in the first place. He understands the American story. I think it's J.D.'s to lose. I do. On the flip side, the Democrats, they have a bit of an issue. And Trump was asked about the up-and-coming Dems, and he said it's an absolute mess on the Democrat side. And he's right. You can look at the Republican side, and we got a lot of good people coming up in the wings. I mean, you can make the argument for quite a few characters. Even guys that aren't ready yet, like your Vivek Ramaswamys, your Josh Hawleys, you can say that they're in a better position than some of the Democrats who they're pushing to the forefront as the new stars of the party. And Donald Trump essentially makes that point here.
And you know what I can't name? I can't name one Democrat. I mean, I look at the Democrats, they're in total disarray. They have a new person named Crockett. I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. And they said, she's the future of the party. I said, you have to be kidding. I don't know what they're going to do. And I really believe in a two-party system. Because it's good to be challenged. It's really good to have a two-party. It's good. Being challenged is okay. It keeps you sharp. I don't know what they're going to do. They have nobody. Bernie's 87 years old or something. And Biden is the worst thing that ever happened to old people because he was grossly incompetent. And I think maybe for artificial reasons. He had operations and things. So maybe that's an artificial. But I know people that are unbelievably sharp, and they're older than 87. But I watch Bernie Sanders. He's a nut job, but he's still sharp. He's sharp as he's the same guy he was. He hasn't gone down. But Biden is he's the worst thing to happen to old people.
Yeah, old people. If you think things have gotten hard, blame Biden. He's right about Jasmine Crockett, though. This is who you got coming up. I'm not worried. You're a bit of a mess. And that's to put it lightly. Let's go to Steve on the road. You're up first on Super Talk. What's up, Steve?
Hey, what's up, Chris? How you doing this morning, brother?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I want to get on about fake news. A plan to try to level the playing field with the fake news journalists, the activists that are journalists. But real quick on that presidential to succeed Donald Trump, I got 2 or 3 that I'd like to see.
Who you got?
I think one. I don't know. Have you ever heard of Eric Prince?
Yep, I've heard of Eric Prince.
Eric Prince is man. He is amazing. He is a super smart guy, but also he's very strategic, and he's
the
been
guy.
involved.
He's the guy over at Blackwater, right?
Well, yeah, he used to have Blackwater, but he's also invested in a lot of different things, and he's just worked with countries all over the world, and he knows the government inside and out. I think he would make an excellent president if somebody could get him to run. He can take the attacks and stand tall. I also still like Cruz, man. I like Cruz. I like Gabbard too. So any of those 3, man, I would be real happy. But we need somebody out of the Senate, either in the president as the president or as vice president, somebody that can that knows the ropes of the Senate, you know. But I think a great plan would be because we're still seeing all this fake news and stuff, and it's still influencing a lot of people. I don't know I think Fox stands first in the ratings, and I don't know if MSNBC or CNN is second. But we got Newsmax coming up, and there's a lot of other new ones that are really good out there. I think if like Elon and Trump and a couple other investors would go in together as partners and just buy 1 or 2 of those.
Yep.
Maybe buy ABC and buy either MSNBC or CNN, fire all them nut jobs and bring in some actual truthful journalists and to cover the news. I think that would really dissolve a lot of the confusion and a lot of the hysteria within our country, man. I think it would be a huge move and a huge step. I don't know why they hadn't done that already.
Yeah,
but
no, I hear you, and I appreciate the call, Steve. Actually, that was discussed when MSNBC was going up for sale, that maybe Elon can go in and buy MSNBC and turn it into the X network. I think something like that would be fantastic. Let's go to Mike in Nashville. What's up, Mike? Yo, Mike, what's up, man?
Yeah, Chris, I'll tell you another guy that the Democrats might be looking at, and I think he's nothing but a two-faced snake. I don't like him on sports, and I definitely don't want him in politics, and that's Stephen A. Smith. I believe that he's probably going to drop his name in 2028.
Oh, yeah.
Who would vote for a guy like that, I don't know. But I think that he's going to try to run, but I don't think he's going to have no luck because, first of all, he doesn't know about anything about politics. He thinks he knows. He barely knows anything about sports.
I think he could get more votes than Kamala.
Yeah, he might get more votes than Kamala, but I just don't think that he'll be enough to get in. And like I say, I like JD, but the only thing I don't like about JD, I don't think that he's as strong-minded as Donald Trump. He's getting. He should have plenty of time to learn from Trump over the next 4 years. How to be a president and how to do things. I think that Vance might be the top man, because he has firsthand, advantage with Trump. That's what I'm hoping for. Now, I want to say one thing about what Trump said over the weekend. I want to get your opinion after I hang up. And, because you can't win with these people, these Democrats. First they're complaining about, sending these prisoners down to Seacock down in El Salvador. And now Donald Trump said he want to put them in, open up Alcatraz and start putting these people in Alcatraz. And now I guarantee that then you're going to start hearing Democrats and these other people saying that Alcatraz is inhumane, that it's not a good place to put people, that these people don't deserve to go to a place like that. So you can't win with these people. They don't want you to send them out of the country, and they don't want you to leave them in the country. They basically want you to leave them on the streets of America. It's like it's really sad, so they can keep raping and molesting kids in America. It's really sad that, the people that we have running this country would side with a foreigner, a man that's, an intruder in this country, and actually want a man like that walking down the streets of America. And I'd like for you to hear what you have to say about the reopening of Alcatraz. And
Yeah, hey man, I appreciate the call. I love the idea of reopening Alcatraz, MAGAtraz, as we're calling it here on the Chris Hands Show. It's MAGAtraz now. It's going to be renamed MAGAtraz. And yeah, Donald Trump talked about reopening that a couple times over the weekend. This was him getting off Air Force One or Marine One last night.
Where did you get the idea for reopening Alcatraz?
Just an idea I've had, and I guess because the judges, so many of these radicalized judges, they want to have trials for every single, think of it, every single person that's in our country illegally, that came in illegally. That would mean millions of trials, and it's just so ridiculous what's happening. And it's long been a symbol, Alcatraz, of whatever it is. I mean, you know, it's a sad symbol, but it's a symbol of law and order. And, you know, it's got quite a history, frankly. So I think we're going to do that, and we're looking at it right now.
Yeah, we're looking at it right now. We're looking at it right now. And yeah, we do need a place to put some of the most violent and worst offenders. And that prison does have that symbol, that status, that lore of being just a place you're not going to escape from, a place you don't want to go. And I think bringing back that as a symbol is clutch. It's massive. I mean, we talk about how CCOT drives fear into the hearts of these illegal aliens that are here, knowing that they could be sent there. How about we build our own CCOT and we do it on Alcatraz Island? Why not? Who says no? I think it would be fantastic. But it goes back to the border crossings. And Trump was talking about this over the weekend on Meet the Press, and he said the border crossings, we have them down now to the lowest ever recorded. And still, the media doesn't give Donald Trump any credit for this whatsoever. We didn't need new laws. We didn't need a bipartisan border bill. All we needed was a new president.
Border crossings are at their lowest level ever recorded. Is the border...
Is that good?
Is the border now secure?
Yeah, it's really secure.
It's absolutely
Isn't that good?
secure.
When you say that, doesn't that just sound good? After being abused for years by an incompetent president that allowed people to pour through an open border, criminals from all over the world, murderers and insane people from mental institutions and insane asylums. Isn't it a beautiful thing when you say it's the most secure it's ever been in the history of our country? Isn't that a nice statement?
Yeah, I think it is. Kristen Welker is a little bit disappointed. She kind of had like a curmudgeon face on during that exchange. Just not exactly happy about it. But what do we do with these people? Well, I mean, what do we do? You know, they say due process. They scream due process. And Trump says to Kristen Welker, well, what do you want us to do? You want us to have millions of court cases?
The border now is not the emergency. The border is all part of the same thing, though. The big emergency right now is that we have thousands of people that we want to take out, and we have some judges that want everybody to go to
Some
court.
of them you appointed, sir, including
That's all right.
3 on the Supreme Court.
They change. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how that happens, but they do change.
Just to button this up, though, are you planning to lift that emergency order anytime soon, now that the border's secure?
No, we have an emergency. We have a massive emergency. Overall, it's an overall emergency on immigration, and if the courts don't allow us to take people out, if we had to have a court case, think of it, every single person, we have millions of people. We're going to have millions of court cases. Figure 2 weeks of court case, it would be 300 years.
He's not wrong. And did you hear what he said about the Supreme Court there? He's like, well, three of the Supreme Court justices you appointed. He said, it's amazing how they change, isn't it? Isn't it amazing how they change? Yeah, tell me that's not a diss against Amy Coney Barrett. I got some oceanfront property for you in Arizona. Donald Trump had a lot to say, but he says, listen, we're going to get these people out. Kristen Welker says, okay, well, are you gonna have these people start carrying their paperwork around them, on them? Should American citizens, lawful residents of this country, carry their papers with them?
Mr. President, should lawful residents of this country start carrying paperwork with them when they leave their homes?
I don't think that'll be necessary, but what you're not saying is that many people have been killed, maimed, badly hurt by illegal immigrants that came over that are from prisons and from jails and from mental institutions, and they're hurting our people. And if we don't get them out, we're not going to have a country for long. We need honest media, and we need walls. We need to have borders. And by the way, I built a lot of walls, and if we didn't do that, we wouldn't be able to have those. We would not be able to have the kind of numbers if I wasn't successful in building hundreds of miles of wall.
Fact check, true. He says we got to get these people out. We got to get these people out. And the judges have been holding him back. Everybody's been holding this guy back. And we see the media latching on to, oh, he's a fascist. He's a tyrant. We saw it over the weekend here. We had an operation down near Antioch, Tennessee Highway Patrol, ICE, where we were getting illegal aliens. We got about 150 of them. And now the leftists here in Nashville wringing their hands, crying. Justin Jones weighing in. We'll talk about that on the other side. Let's talk about the operation that happened here in Nashville over the weekend with ICE, and we'll break it all down, plus what the leftists in the city are saying about it when we get back. It's 10:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, drivers, got some issues out there. Right now, Williamson County, you got the left lane blocked 840 eastbound. Right before Horton Highway, a tractor trailer has crossed from the westbound side into the eastbound side. Also in Spring Hill, road work with the off-ramp block 65 northbound to eastbound 840. Then 840 eastbound at I-65. Road work there, right lane is blocked. Trump administration now says it's going to pay cash to immigrants who self-deport. We'll tell you about that at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. It's 10:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. I was listening to your traffic report, Ken.
What'd you think about that, brother Chris?
Well, I just picture somebody there over at T-Dot going, hey, boss, it's raining. Should we put this off till tomorrow? And they said, no, bring extra cones.
No, in fact, let's start extra early tomorrow, and let's shut down one lane just for the heck of it.
Let's do it. Yeah, that's probably what they did.
It's trying to keep you guessing.
It is Cinco de Mayo. Are you guys celebrating Cinco de Mayo?
Not this year.
No, you're going to take it out.
I do it on the weekends.
There you go. Donald Trump, we mentioned this earlier in the show. Remember the post where Trump said the best taco bowls are made in Trump Tower?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Donald Trump just reposted it on X. He said this was, hold on. He said this was so wonderful 9 years ago today. Oh, this was so wonderful. And it was May 5th, 2016. Happy Cinco de Mayo. The best taco bowls are made in Trump Tower Grill. I love Hispanics. That was it. That was it.
Always repping. Always repping.
I loved how it ended with, I love Hispanics. That's how I read it.
You know, if that's a meal that's worth remembering 9 years later,
honestly,
we might need to travel.
We might have to go back to
do a little trip to Trump Tower.
Trump Tower Grill.
Oh,
this is the best taco bowls.
Try a taco bowl.
All right, so on Saturday night, Tennessee Highway Patrol made about 150 traffic stops with Homeland Security investigations and the Immigration and Customs Enforcement in the areas because they've had a history of serious traffic crashes and gang activity. During those stops, they found some people without valid IDs. They found some individuals without valid identification, and they found themselves some illegal aliens with stolen guns and drugs. Naturally, the liberals in Nashville are very upset about this. Not that illegal aliens are in our town with guns and drugs. No. That police are doing their job. We'll talk about it when we get back. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Trump administration now says it'll pay cash to people in the country illegally if they register and self-deport.
The move has the government not only paying the airfare, but also providing self-deporting migrants with a $1,000 stipend. The money to be paid after the migrants' return has been confirmed through the CPB Home app. The Department of Homeland Security says the first person to take advantage of this new travel assistance got a free ticket from Chicago to Honduras. DHS says even with the $1,000 stipend, this initiative is about 70% cheaper than arresting and deporting a migrant.
As Stephen Portnoy reporting, here in Nashville, ICE agents and state troopers conducted about 150 traffic stops over the weekend in a sweep for gang members. State Representative Scott Sapicki telling Super Talk 99.7 WTN's Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis, it's an efficient operation.
Now, if there's a traffic stop and you cannot provide the necessary documentation, then that triggers an alert. And then they call ICE, they run your data, and if ICE says detain, we're going to detain until ICE comes to pick them up, and that's what you saw.
Troopers said federal agents handled immigration-related matters. Troopers say they made a few arrests for outstanding warrants. They confiscated what they said were illegal guns and drugs during the arrests, with some coming from people suspected of gang affiliations. And according to multiple immigrant rights groups, witnesses saw the agencies pulling people over on the Antioch area. Also looks like along Harding Place, Nolensville Pike, and Thompson Lane. Well, this morning, a Metro Council member says Mayor Freddie O'Connell is lying to taxpayers about why he needs to raise taxes again. Here's Courtney Johnston.
One of the things that he said he was adding was 23 SROs. That's just not true.
The 23 officers that were added in this budget are for the rapid response team, which are highly trained for specifically responding to school threats. But they are not SROs that are in the schools every day where little Johnny knows that Officer Jones is my SRO. That's just false.
Today is the day the Trump administration set to begin collecting defaulted government student loan payments.
Defaulted student loan borrowers are supposed to get a warning, that their refunds or their Social Security checks are going to be taken.
Author and MarketWatch assistant managing editor Jillian Berman says if you are in default, the government can now take payment from your tax refunds, your wages, or send you to debt collection.
For most people, the best thing to do is going to be to contact something called the Default Resolution Group, and they will, sort of give you your options to help you get out of default.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
It's 11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can listen to the show anywhere, iHeartRadio, tune in, the FM dial. You can watch us, Super Talk TV. We are live on video, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Hit like, hit subscribe. We appreciate it when you do so. So yesterday, they released this Meet the Press interview between Trump and Kristen Welker, and she had this question for him. Should American citizens have to start carrying their paperwork to prove they're American citizens?
Mr. President, should lawful residents of this country start carrying paperwork with them when they leave their homes?
I don't think that'll be necessary, but what you're not saying is that many people have been killed, maimed, badly hurt by illegal immigrants that came over that are from prisons and from jails and from mental institutions, and they're hurting our people. And if we don't get them out, we're not going to have a country for long.
He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. Now, on the text line, 3058 said, Chris, the interviewer, acts so horrified. at the idea of American citizens having to carry around paperwork. Do you think she carried around a proof of her COVID vaccination records a few years ago? It's like, exactly. Nailed it. I even said, no, it's a great take. I'm stealing that. We've seen this so many times throughout this interview. Oh, the small businesses. You didn't give a damn during COVID. Oh, are lawful residents of this country going to have to carry paperwork around with them? Oh, you mean like how you did in blue states to, I don't know, go to a restaurant? Weird. Now it's an issue when we want to get rid of gang members and terrorists and human traffickers and drug traffickers. Now it's an issue. It is. And let's be honest, you're not going to have to carry around paperwork if you're here in this country lawfully. You're just not. Don't listen to the liberals in Nashville, though. They'll scream and they'll yell that you have to have that paperwork, and they're going to point to what happened over the weekend. Over the weekend, Tennessee Highway Patrol confirmed ICE detainments in the Nashville area during a public safety operation. WSMV has the story, and I found the story on WSMV. My friend Erin sent it to me, and she said, look at the comments. Now, before we even get into the story, you click this tweet from WSMV. There's about 51 comments. Honestly, the overwhelming majority, I'd say 90% of the comments on this WSMV story are people celebrating the fact that this operation took place over the weekend. Now, I know Twitter's not real life, but I do tend to think that this is going to be the public sentiment as well. You see, people in Nashville, believe it or not, don't want criminals, gang members, drug traffickers, human traffickers living amongst them. It's not exactly going to do anything good for your property values. Weird. I know. And over the weekend, we saw some action. And I was excited about this. I know you probably were too. Saturday night, Tennessee Highway Patrol made 150 stops with Homeland Security investigations and the Immigration Customs Enforcement in areas they said have a history of serious traffic crashes and gang activity. During the stops, they found dozens, boatloads, if you will, of individuals without valid driver's license, without valid identification, with stolen handguns, with drugs, and they arrested them. Some of the people arrested, they are suspecting gang affiliation as well, according to the reports. And so many are upset about this. According to multiple immigration rights groups, witnesses saw the agencies pulling people over and detaining them in the Antioch area. The groups claim several people were taken into custody after traffic stops along Harding Place, Nolensville Pike, and Thompson Lane. Both the Nashville Mayor's Office and Metro Nashville Police Department said MNPD officers were not involved, despite what the immigrant rights groups had said. No MNPD personnel were involved in last night's enforcement action, the Mayor's Office said. MNPD has no federal immigration authority, is not trained to conduct immigration enforcement, and lacks access to federal immigration databases. The Mayor's Office quickly distanced themselves and MNPD from this as well. They say this type of federal enforcement action is not focused on making us safer and leaves people in our community feeling any interaction with law enforcement where there is a crime occurring. They will be seeking names of those detained. So they're going to look out for the illegal aliens, according to the Mayor's Office. The illegal aliens who had stolen handguns, drugs, and ties to gangs. They're very upset about this. Very upset. Justin Jones weighed in. He wouldn't. Why miss an opportunity to cry about racism, right? Rep. Justin Jones, he released a statement on yesterday, and this is what he said. A statement is insufficient to address the cruel and heinous acts committed by ICE and the Tennessee Highway Patrol last night in South Nashville, where over 150 targeted stops were made to detain those they suspected of being undocumented. Weaponizing the THP to terrorize immigrant communities and rip families apart is reprehensible and makes our communities less safe. My office will be continuing to press Governor Lee's administration, including the Commissioner of Safety and the Colonel of the Tennessee Highway Patrol, about these racist stops, the names of those detained, and the role racial profiling played in targeting immigrants commuting home. It was nighttime. How do you racially profile at nighttime? Can anybody help me with this? How do you? So they were doing something to get pulled over, speeding, changing lanes, crazy. They weren't just. There wasn't a guy with a flashlight. It's like, we got a brown one. Like that didn't happen. That doesn't. It's not how it works. It's not how it works at all. I don't think the immigrant community is going to feel less safe because of this. The legal immigrant community, I think, is important to note. The illegal immigrant community, I hope, feels much less safe. And I hope that they second guess staying here for much longer, because enforcement is ramping up and you will be removed if you are here illegally. This is not a bad story. Justin Jones makes it seem like Tennessee, all these racist police, ICE, so racist. No. How do you make up the racial makeup of somebody? How do you see that in the middle of the night? Does anybody know? Anybody? Okay. Representative Afton Ben out of Nashville described the operation as a dragnet and said operations like this do nothing to improve public safety. Oh, that's an interesting take. So you mean if they got a known drug trafficker off the streets who's pushing fentanyl, that doesn't improve public safety? Is that math? Ain't really math in there. I think that's exactly what it does. Is it improves public safety? Maybe I read it wrong. Representative Afton Ben described the operation as a dragnet and said operations like this do nothing to improve public safety. Is the public more or less safe when MS-13 and Tren de Aragua are allowed to roam the streets? Does anybody have an answer for that, for Afton? She seems a bit confused here. Actually, what this operation did completely increased public safety. You took individuals off the streets that had stolen handguns, ma'am. You took individuals off the streets that are, dabbling in narcotics trafficking. You took individuals off the streets who are, dabbling in human trafficking. They're doing the jobs that Americans don't want to do. I understand that. I understand. This absolutely makes the community more safe. And to say anything less is just, it's a lie. So it's a lie. You're lying to people. Tennessee Highway Patrol and ICE are not picking up anybody without ICE detainers, and we're not arresting anybody that weren't criminals. The community is definitely safer, without a doubt. From WSMV, this weekend, a coordinated and alarming immigration enforcement operation unfolded in the heart of Nashville's immigrant and refugee communities. Witnesses reported multiple drivers pulled over, detained, including mothers driving to work. Late on a Saturday evening? Okay. Including mothers driving to work, allegedly leaving children in vehicles by themselves. Videos, photos, and firsthand account point to ICE working in tandem with Tennessee Highway Patrol to carry out what could only be described as a dragnet. What I've heard anecdotally is deeply disturbing. This is Afton Ben's statement on Instagram. What I've heard anecdotally is deeply disturbing. Anecdotally. Got it. If THP's involvement is confirmed, it raises urgent and serious questions about THP's role and authority in detaining Nashvillians for ICE. If ICE can detain you, you are not a Nashvillian. You understand that, right? Like, if you got an immigration detainer, you're not a Nashvillian. This is the same thing we did with the Maryland man. You're not a Maryland man. You're an El Salvador man. Right? You understand this? They're not detaining Nashvillians. If you're here illegally, you are not a Nashvillian. That's pretty easy, right? Like, that's day one stuff. Not for Afton Ben. Not for Afton. This raises urgent and serious questions about THP's role and authority in detaining Nashvillians for ICE. Dragnet operations like this, again, this is Afton Ben's statement on Instagram. Dragnet operations like this do nothing to improve public safety. What they do is terrorize families, disrupt lives, and shatter trust between law enforcement and the communities they are supposed to serve. It's time out from her statement there. Does nothing to improve public safety. This terrorizes families, disrupts lives. What about the illegal aliens who are killing American citizens? What does that do to their families? What are we doing here? Is this a serious statement from Afton Ben? Do we have Afton Ben's phone number, right? Do you have Afton Ben's phone number? We should try and get her on the line. Afton, or if any of Afton's representatives are listening, please call in and tell me how this makes Nashvillians less safe. All I can see here is an operation that took place over the weekend and made Nashville much safer. About 150 times safer, actually, if that's the number they got. It's probably a little bit lower. She goes on. Tennessee Highway Patrol officers should be focused on roadway safety. Okay. This is also tiresome. Tennessee Highway Patrol should be focused on roadway safety, not detaining parents heading to drop their kids off at daycare or pulling over residents based on their appearance, language, or neighborhood. Again, this happened late Saturday night. I don't know how many parents were bringing their kids to daycare. I don't know how in the middle of the night a car drives by and you can immediately see their racial makeup and know that they don't speak English. Does anybody know how that works? Is there something I'm missing? This is what Afton says. And Afton Bed says, this is not happening in a vacuum. Over the last decade, Tennessee has systematically expanded its anti-immigrant apparatus. Again, anti-immigrant, right? Not anti-illegal immigrant, anti-immigrant. The legislation passed by Governor Lee earlier this year took that agenda to a new level, establishing a centralized immigration enforcement division under the Department of Safety and encouraging local agencies to do ICE's dirty work. We are now seeing the impact. Neighborhoods in fear, families in crisis, and a state law enforcement agency allegedly assisting in deportation sweeps without public accountability. Miss me with the hand-wringing and the crying. Nashville is absolutely safer today because of those raids. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. That operation over the weekend made Nashville a safer place to live. You took what could be gang members, human traffickers, drug traffickers off the street. They found handguns, they found drugs. Nashville's not safer, they say. Families are in fear. What about the families that's living next door to a gang member right now? They have no rights. They have no standing in this argument. They're not allowed to say anything. That's Afton Ben for you. Afton Ben. Afton, get real. I'm gonna try and get Afton on the show. I'm just gonna be perfectly honest. I'm gonna do my due diligence. I want Afton Ben to come on the show and defend her statement here. How do you defend this? I don't think you can. I think it's a dumb statement. Something that I would expect out of Justin Jones, sure. Afton, come on. What are we doing here? Keith in Manchester wants to talk about those detainments that happened over the weekend. What's up, Keith?
I'm not worried about the detainments. It's the highway patrol doing false DUI arrests.
What do you mean false DUI arrests?
I'm sorry, sir. You're going to have to look that up online. But, yeah, they'll pull you over. You refuse the ID. They have to look and way over 10 minutes hold you or harass you, pull up 8 units, 6 units, and take you to jail for a DUI when you blow 0, 0, 0, 0. And there's a point in there, but
I don't understand how these two work together.
It doesn't work with detainment. It's just something that's going on. They can pull over whoever they want, whenever they want. If you can't figure that out, Chris, that was something you and I had. We were talking about growing our hair out. Mine's still growing out.
I guess I'm just confused as to how DUI checkpoints are a topic on this topic.
Nashville is the worst of false DUIs, putting people into court.
I just don't understand. I just don't understand.
Money. Sir.
No, but I don't understand what this has to do with an immigration conversation. I don't understand what DUI stops have to do with.
The person I spoke with, sir. Okay, you have a good day, Chris.
Hey, man, I'm not trying to be rude to you, Keith. I'm just I just don't get how these conversations correlate. Keith hung up. I don't have any idea how those conversations correlate. That's okay. Mayor Freddie O'Connell weighed in on the weekend bust and said, our top priority is keeping people safe. We're deeply concerned that what appear to be federal actions are making that harder. Is it harder to keep people safe if we're taking away Tren de Aragua, MS-13 gang members, human traffickers, drug traffickers, and people with stolen guns? Or is it easier? I mean, I don't know, Freddie. I'm confused. That's Freddie O'Connell's statement where this is making it harder to keep people safe because ICE is removing illegal aliens from this community. Okay, that's quite the take. 615-737-9986. Looking forward to your take as well. We'll talk about this a little bit more on the other side. It's 11:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, drivers, still seeing some issues. First off, in Williamson County, you've got a crash blocking the left lane, 840 eastbound, right before Horton Highway. Then in Spring Hill, road work blocking the off-ramp, 65 northbound to go eastbound on 840. In Williamson County, you got road work blocking the right lane, 840 eastbound at 65. And how about $1,000 to self-deport? We'll tell you about that at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 11:27 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Talking about the weekend enforcement operations that happened in Nashville with Tennessee Highway Patrol and ICE. We had a caller a couple minutes ago that wanted to talk about DUI arrests. A lot of people on the text line thinking Keith could be blowing a 1.8 right now. I'm not 100% sure, but many people think Keith is currently day drinking. I don't know if that's the case. I hope not, Keith. I hope not. I do know that a lot of the liberal representatives in Nashville are very upset that ICE was working double time over the weekend, getting illegal aliens off the streets here in Nashville in conjunction with Tennessee Highway Patrol. You got Afton Ben. She's weighing in. Afton Ben said, operations like this do nothing to improve public safety. Huh, weird. Freddie O'Connell, Mayor Freddie, he said, our top priority is keeping people safe, and we're deeply concerned that what appeared to be federal actions are making that harder. Oh, weird. Justin Jones weighed in, and he was just as upset. He screamed racism and all the regular things that Justin Jones would tend to scream. It's funny, though, when you look at the comments on a lot of these posts, and I do that. I run to the comment section, as I'm sure you tend to as well. And you run to the comment section, you try to get the public sentiment of how people really feel. You know, the politicians are one thing, the leftists in Nashville are one thing, but how do the people feel? And you look at these stories that have been posted either on Facebook or Twitter or other sources, and you'll see the comments that are just like, this is exactly what we voted for. Good. This does make Nashville safer, over and over and over. The overwhelming majority of the individuals weighing in that are just individuals, just citizens of the area, are saying, yes, we needed this. It's about damn time. Yet you get your Freddie O'Connells, you get your Afton Bens, your Justin Joneses, who say, this is terrifying. This is making us less safe. This is hurting people in the community. The mayor's office said this type of federal enforcement action is not focused on making us safer and leaves people in our community fearing any interaction with law enforcement when there is a crime occurring. We will be seeking the names of those detained. Guys, if we're getting rid of MS-13 gang members, if we're getting rid of Tren de Aragua gang members, if we're getting rid of human traffickers and drug traffickers, you are making the community safer. I don't know how to explain that to you any simpler than that. And if you can't understand it explained to you that simply, it's like talking to a brick wall with you on illegal immigration. You get what you vote for. The people of Nashville voted these people in. It's an absolute mess. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. In a move to push those in the country illegally to self-deport, the Department of Homeland Security today announcing a travel assistance program. Those who are in the country illegally and want to self-deport can use, they have to use the Customs and Border Protection home app to return to their home country. They'll receive a $1,000 stipend, according to a release from Department of Homeland Security. Meanwhile, in Nashville, THP confirms ICE detainments during what they're calling a public safety operation Saturday night in parts of Antioch and South Nashville, where THP says it's known for gang activity and a history of serious traffic crashes. Channel 4's Steve Mailing says Mayor Freddie O'Connell's criticizing that operation, saying it doesn't make the community safe.
Mayor O'Connell's office also said while allegations of Metro Police involvement were made, they say no Metro officers were a part of the enforcement and that their presence Sunday outside Homeland Security was to ensure public safety during the protest.
THP says federal agents handled the immigration-related matters while troopers made arrests for outstanding warrants. They seized illegal guns and drugs, some coming from people suspected of gang affiliations. Immigration rights advocates are asking for a full list of people detained. Starting this week, you better start paying back those student loan payments that were frozen in the pandemic.
5 million borrowers are either in default or not making payments on their student loans, but this week the Trump administration began the process for them to resume. If you aren't sure if you're in default or not,
a credit score drop is the first sign that you might, be behind on your student loan. So even borrowers who are delinquent, which is not as serious as default, can face significant credit score drops.
MarketWatch's Jillian Berman says the best thing to do is check your account at studentaid.gov. If you are in default and don't pay, the government could take money out of your wages, your Social Security payments, or any tax refunds. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand from my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, and it's time to get that cooling system serviced the right way, the Busy Bee way. You don't want to wait for a problem to pop up. You got to be proactive and keep your system running strong all year long. Now, whether you need that annual maintenance, repair, or even full replacement, the team that I trust are the guys over at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. And now's the perfect time to join the Beehive Club. It's just $99 per unit, and you'll get 3 annual tune-ups, 10% off all repairs, front-of-the-line service, and a $100 annual accrued replacement credit, maxing out at about $1,000, plus no overtime or holiday fees and exclusive member-only deals. Now, check this out. This month only, you buy 1 Beehive membership, you get 1 free of equal or lesser value. You just can't beat being a Beehive member with Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. So give them a call today and join the Hive. 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. Online, busybehvac.com. Thirty-six minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. My time is winding down here. We got about a little under 30 minutes left in the show, but you can keep up with me off the air. I'm on Twitter, True Social, and Instagram. All of them are the same. At Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. Appreciate it when you do so. So we were talking about just this insanity over the weekend. all of the liberals in town are saying that enforcing immigration laws doesn't make us more safe. Removing gang members from our streets doesn't make us more safe. Removing people with stolen handguns and drugs doesn't make us more safe. I honestly don't have any idea how they rationalized these statements. When we get rid of gang members in Nashville, it doesn't make Nashville more safe. We were safer with the gang members. What? That's your argument. That's what Justin Jones is saying. That's what Freddie O'Connell is saying. That's what Afton Ben is saying. How did these individuals get elected? Does anybody know? Anybody know? Donald Trump over the weekend, he was talking about his election. He was on Meet the Press. And he said, yeah, there's hanky-panky in 2024. Was there hanky-panky in Nashville? Probably not. They probably just voted for these idiots. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Well, what are you doing? Freddie O'Connell. I got to distance myself from the actions of ICE. MNPD didn't do it. We weren't the ones arresting illegal aliens out there. It's like, does that make you sound good? I don't know. It's maybe to your base. So I think that makes you sound awful. Makes you sound like a weak, soft mayor. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. That's how I viewed Freddie O'Connell the entire time of his reign. I shook his hand once. Very soft. Very soft. Not impressed. Afton Ben. This doesn't make us more safe. Justin Jones, this doesn't make us more safe. No. Yeah, we're a much safer community when we have MS-13 gang members and Tren de Aragua gang members roaming around. Which we know are here, by the way. We know. We've seen the bus. We know that they're here. Doesn't make us any more safe. RD in Columbia wants to talk about these traffic stops. What's up, RD?
Good morning, Chris. Love your show and what you do, my friend.
Hey, appreciate you, man. What are you thinking about this?
Well, concerning this controversy over the Tennessee Highway Patrol doing their job this weekend, I'm going to tell you something. I heard one accusing of racial profiling. Yep. I had a long career in law enforcement, and this statement's going to make the woke people nuts. But, my friend, racial profiling is a necessity in law enforcement. Racial profiling is like fishing. When you go fishing, if you want to catch fish, you go where the fish are. It's that simple.
It's hard to disagree with you, RD, and I get where you're coming from, my man, and I totally understand what you're saying. And I think that, that'll rub some people the wrong way, but there's a lot of truth to that as well. Jessica in Goodlettsville, what's up, Jess?
Well, I am very suspect of these people who defend the illegals, especially the people who have warrants out for their arrest and have committed crimes of stolen guns and different things like that. Are Justin Jones and Freddie O'Connell concerned about their own safety because they're not complying with the cartels of the Mexican country? I mean, are they concerned about their own safety because they're not telling our law enforcement to stand down and telling this Trump administration to stand down? That is the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Jess, and I appreciate the call because Trump was talking about dealing with cartels with the Mexican president, and he's on Air Force One here, and they were talking about cartels, and he said the president of Mexico is a lovely woman, but she's scared to death of the cartels.
Mexico is saying that I offered to send U.S. troops into Mexico to take care of the cartels. She wants to know, is that true? Do you think I'm going to answer that question? That's why I'm asking. We'll see. I will answer it. It's true. Absolutely. Because they are horrible people that have been killing people left and right, they've made a fortune on selling drugs and destroying our people. We lost 300,000 people last year to fentanyl and drugs. They're bad news. Yeah, that's true. If Mexico wanted help with the cartels, we would be honored to go in and do it. I told her that. I would be honored to go in and do it. The cartels are trying to destroy our country. They're evil. And, we had 300,000 people die last year from fentanyl and all of that. We had millions of people brought into this country that shouldn't be here. The cartels brought them in. So if she said that I offered to do that, she's 100% right. Are you disappointed that she denied that request, that she doesn't want Well, she's so afraid of the cartel she can't walk, so, that's the reason. And I think she's a lovely woman. But the president of Mexico is a lovely woman. But she is so afraid of the cartels that she can't even think straight.
So afraid of the cartels, she can't even think straight. We've offered help, but she's so afraid of the cartels, she can't think straight. That's President Trump on the Mexican president. And it kind of goes to what the last caller was saying, where she said, is Freddie or Justin or Afton, are they on the take? And I don't know if that's the case, but it's hard to understand these statements. And then you look at it through a lens like that, you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I could see that. Maybe. I'm not saying that they are. But how do you rationalize a statement that you put out and you say, Tennessee Highway Patrol and ICE, they've detained all these illegal aliens, gang members, they've found stolen guns, they found drugs, and then you put out a statement and you say, this doesn't make Nashville less safe. This doesn't make Nashville any more safe. This makes Nashville less safe. How do you rationalize that? I think it's a good question to ask. It's a good question. Are you on the take? Mayor Freddie, are you on the take from cartels and some of these transnational criminal organizations? How else could you rationalize a statement where you say that this doesn't make Nashville any more safe? He said, our top priority is keeping people safe, and we're deeply concerned that what appear to be federal actions are making that harder. How? I would love an explanation. You're welcome on the show anytime, Fred. Anytime. Afton Ben, anytime. Justin Jones, by all means. I know that Justin Jones is more likely to block me on Twitter than he is to come on the show, but he's still welcome anyway. I would love any of these individuals who release these statements saying that Nashville's less safe because we got illegal alien gang members off the streets with stolen guns. Please explain it. Can somebody explain it to me? Anybody? Bueller? Anyone? No? Weird. It's like, do you care about this city at all? Do you care about this city at all? Do you want us to be like some other blue city hellhole? I mean, and you can find story after story, horror stories of what happens inside these blue cities. In San Antonio, there's a 678-unit apartment complex that is dealing with foreclosure because Tren de Aragua got in there and they ruined this place and then extorted the individuals that were living there. Do you want Mayor Freddie, Miss Afton Ben, Senor Jones, would you guys like this to be Nashville?
The owner of the 678-unit Palacia Apartments says they never financially recovered after Tren de Aragua gang members broke into hundreds of apartments, damaged them, and even rented them to people who had been staying at the city's Migrant Resource Center.
So, if something like this happened in Nashville, and ICE moved in to take these illegal aliens out, would Freddie release a statement saying this makes Nashville less safe? Would Afton Ben get on her soapbox and say Nashville's less safe? Honestly, serious question, would you? Because this is the reality of the illegal alien crisis that's happening, the invasion that was allowed to happen under Joe Biden in so many cities. And this could be the reality in Nashville too. But by the grace of God, we have Tennessee Highway Patrol and we have ICE stepping up enforcement operations over the weekend. But this could be us. Would they release a statement and say that this would make Nashville more safe, less safe? Same? What do we got?
So this has been kicked in. It's gone.
Last summer, John Barker showed us how many of his apartments were being lived in by people who had left the migrant center or
a lot of empty Dos Equis cans. I don't know if you saw that.
The airport shelter operated by the city. Some had paid money to gang members to stay there.
They had their own leases that they were signing with these residents or with these migrants that they were bringing in, taking their money and breaking into our units.
You know, they're always so worried about the migrant community, the immigrant community, and you have to say, like, guys, do you know that some of the people being taken advantage of here by Tren de Aragua were illegal aliens, right? The same people that all of these liberals claim to want to protect and hold so near and dear to their heart, they don't really give a damn. They don't give a damn one bit about the illegal aliens. They give a damn about political points, and that's what our own elected officials here in Nashville saw over the weekend when Tennessee Highway Patrol was working with ICE. They saw it as a chance to score political points. But the reality of letting this kind of illegal immigration take place in your city is what you're seeing here in San Antonio at this 678-unit apartment complex that gets taken over by Tren de Aragua.
Barker says he begged the city for help, but at first an assistant city attorney responded with indifference.
And he said verbatim to me, we refuse to acknowledge there's a migration issue. And if there's any issues on site that you're having to deal with, that's on you.
In a statement today, the city said it made extensive efforts to keep the area safe. SAPD increased patrols in the complex, dedicated specialized units to investigate criminal activity, and worked closely with property owners and management to respond to ongoing concerns.
Well, that's obviously because of racism, right? Oh, yeah, it has to be. I mean, if you follow the logic of the left, all of this is racist. It's racist, it's evil, it's all because of some orange tyrant that we have at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. But if we don't enforce the laws on the books, this is coming to Nashville next. Make no mistake about it.
Barker says by the time SAPD raided the complex last October, arresting 19 people, including 4 Tren de Aragua members, 60% of the units were damaged or vacant. Repairs were so extensive and costly, he's now forced to give the property back to the bank next week.
Yeah, that sucks. That sucks. But your elected liberal officials, I'm sure, are going to be standing with you in solidarity. Oh, no, they're not? Oh. Weird. Weird how that always seems to happen. But our elected officials in Nashville want to say that getting illegal alien gang members off the street with stolen firearms and drugs doesn't make the city any more safe. Again, Freddie, Afton, Justin, any of you guys that want to come on the show and explain your statements with a little bit more clarity, a little bit more detail, maybe some thought behind it, you are more than welcome to, and I'll give you the floor for as long as you need it. I don't know how you can defend these statements that were released by our Nashville officials saying what happened over the weekend, getting illegal aliens off of the streets of Nashville who are suspected gang members, drug traffickers, maybe human traffickers, doesn't make the city more safe. How do you rationalize that? They can't. They can't. All these statements say to me is they saw an alley-oop for cheap political points and they went for it. These people are awful. It's 11:49 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 54 minutes past the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Chad Benson's in studio.
What's up?
Did you love the rain over the weekend?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I lived in Michigan for just a little bit too long in Pittsburgh. And like you get these gray, gloomy days. I'm like, this feels nice.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, not every day, right? I lived in England, but when I lived in England, it would rain like this. But by the afternoon, it would be sunny. Then it would rain at night, and then it would be clear as a bell at night. And it was. You get all of the weather in the space of like 4 hours.
And then you were in Arizona. It didn't rain ever.
Ever. Once in a great while.
How many years did you live there?
7 years, and we got monsoons. So it's monsoon season right now. We get horrific monsoons, but that's not rain.
No,
it just floods everything and makes it horrific. I mean, we had some storms where we just bought a new barbecue, weighed about 400 pounds. It picked it up and threw it off the side of our house.
What?
It destroyed, like 8 feet in the air, destroyed the side of our house, knocked over our giant brick fence. It knocked out power for 4 days, the entire neighborhood.
What?
Yeah, it was.
Your new barbecue ruined power for the entire neighborhood?
No, that was the other side of it. It went off, and everybody's waiting for it to come in, and we found out that it would be at least 3 to 4 days before it ever came back on for all of our neighborhood.
Jeez.
So my mother-in-law, being a degenerate gambler, she's like, I got free rooms. I'm like, we're off to the casino.
That's hilarious. What does your grandmother play?
She's a slot player, but she's a degenerate. I always talk about that. I love her. I'm like, you're such a degenerate, Gloria.
That's awesome. Gloria?
Yeah, Gloria. Gloria's out there just pulling. Yeah.
That's my grandmother's name, too.
Oh, so yeah, but we don't have weather like this, really.
No, you don't get that in Arizona.
That's why it's beautiful here. It was nice. It was a nap day yesterday.
Oh, it was a good nap day.
It was a great nap day.
Yeah, we put the kids down for a nap, and it was like a certain time. It's like 4:30. We're like, should we wake them up?
Yes, because you don't want to be up all night.
This is starting to interfere with bedtime.
Yes, can't have that when you have kids.
No.
Melatonin becomes your best friend.
My wife went up there and said, I'm going to start clinking around.
Oh my gosh, look at this news. Oh, wow, look at all the cool stuff we're going to be able to do. Woo.
Yep.
Dinner's going to be ready. What do you guys want?
What stories caught your eye over the weekend?
You know what? This whole thing with Dave Portnoy I thought was interesting. And if you guys didn't see it, there was something happened at one of his bars, the Barstool Bar in Philadelphia. Anti-Semitism. He lost his mind. And then he kind of pivoted, which I thought was interesting, and he's been all over today. So we'll talk a little bit about that.
So I remember the original post that he put out, and then a lot of people were calling him out because he was like anti-cancel culture for the longest time.
Yeah.
Is that why he pivoted?
No, I think he said, look, I shouldn't. He still fired the girls, the waitresses that were a part of it. But he's like, I don't want to ruin these kids' lives forever, because he went after them. He went after their families. He came hard. He spoke to their families. And there was one kid that he destroyed at the beginning, he said, and I called him up. I finally got a hold of him, and he's crying like he's turning over state's evidence. And then I find out he wasn't even a part of it. He wasn't even in the place, wasn't even in the state.
What?
But he got tagged in it. And so I assumed he had done it. And I think he felt horrible about that. He's like, I apologize to that guy. I'm like, you think? Yeah. So it's interesting. Yeah, but he's against cancel culture. Like, there's a lot of people that are against cancel culture, me being one of them. And the frustration that some people, want to go and cancel. But he wasn't about canceling. He just wanted to destroy their lives.
Well, that's kind of canceling.
Yeah. It doesn't, but he said he had to make up. So we're going to sit down talking about that. We're going to talk about the real ID and how scary I think it is.
Why are you scared?
Because we're heading towards a little bit of the China there. Yep.
China?
Yeah, China.
If you will.
Yeah, because, we're going to have, a national ID that you have all the information of. Denmark did this, and now if you want to get a loan, if you don't have this ID, you can't get a loan. If you want to do certain things when it comes to healthcare, if you don't have this national ID, you can't get it. Now, you can have a regular ID, but if you don't have this, even if you have a passport, you have to have this special ID. And what happens when you have debanking? What happens when you have all this electronic stuff tied into this?
That's interesting.
That is an interesting thing. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And I saw the movie Rust.
What'd you think about it? Is the scene where he kills that guy in there?
I don't think there was a scene that maybe was it, but it was, you know what, dude? It was really good.
Was it?
It was really, really good.
But were you like the whole time? Were you sitting there like wondering, is this where he killed that guy?
No. I knew about where it was, but when they pulled the trigger and she got shot, and everybody's, it's a bad situation. But I see people talking, should we be watching this? And I'm like, I went and saw The Crow. Nobody asked if we should go see The Crow, right? Like the guy that was the star of the movie got killed, and nobody asked about it.
That was no big deal.
No, Brandon Lee got killed.
It's pre-internet.
Yeah, pre-internet. Yep. So it was interesting though, and her family came out and spoke about it as well. Let's talk a little bit about that. A lot of other stuff to get some Trump stuff, immigration stuff here.
Did you hear tariffs on foreign movies?
I saw that.
I feel like this is a direct response to Amelia Perez.
Phenomenal movie. The song is awesome. Who wants a wiener? You want a wiener? You get a wiener. No, you don't want a wiener.
It all depends. I guess. Chad's in next. It's 12 o'clock on Super Talk.